So last month, Lead Champ Pro sent out over 500,000 text messages on behalf of agents, which is pretty crazy. We booked over 6,000 appointments in the system, and AI is currently booking 500 appointments a week right now for our agents. Absolutely crushing the numbers. And the feedback we're getting from y'all is that the AI is better than ever, which makes a lot of sense because Josh is now directly in control of the AI and has really fine-tuned it for our use case. So it's not just a general sales appointment booking AI now, and now it's specific for life insurance brokers that are using our system, and it's getting fantastic results. That being said, I want to hop into our call for the day. And if you guys saw the ad today, we are going to be talking about 10 key metrics, okay? 10 key metrics that you can use to absolutely take your business to the next level. And I want to open with this quick story. This is something many of y'all may have heard this before, but it's very powerful in my mind, how such a small change can have such a big impact. Okay, but McDonald's, most people have heard of them, kind of a big restaurant chain. They sell a lot of burgers and fries, and they are one of the biggest companies in the world from a financial standpoint. Well, many years ago, I believe this was back in like 2008, 2007, something like that, they made the decision from a financial standpoint to adjust one of their products and remove one piece of cheese from the double hamburger, or double cheeseburger, whatever it was. And the result of that small, seemingly insignificant change, I mean, many people may not even notice, right, that it went from 2 pieces of cheese to 1, produced them an extra $279 million annually. About $15,000 per location, they generated more in profit because of removing that one single piece of cheese. And so kind of our goal today is to help y'all identify those places in your business where you could find that slice of cheese and maximize your results with a small change just by knowing your metrics. And obviously I've got Josh on here joining with me. Josh, thank you so much once again, always, for taking your time out of your schedule to come share with all these other agents. I know you could be selling, right? You could be recruiting new agents, training new agents. You could be working on Lead Champ, but obviously you like to get in and pour into the people here. So thank you for joining me. These are some numbers that I know you track really closely, right? Like I see you all the time. When you're talking to me, you're talking about your numbers. You're talking about what your data is telling you and how you're changing and adjusting your business because of that. So these first 4 or 5 points I'm going to give you guys, these are ones that you have probably thought about many times before. Still write them down, okay? Please still take notes of these and how you can use these to maximize your business, because some of these you may not really understand how powerful they are, okay? The first one is the most obvious one, the one that people bring up to me the most on calls, the one that people use to make their decisions far too often, and that is cost per lead, okay? Cost per lead, CPL, or cost per lead. This is obviously what you're paying per lead. Now, if you're going to a buy per lead option, this is pretty obvious what it is. The price is the price. If it's $20 a lead, $40 a lead, that's your cost per lead. If you're running your own ads, or if you have someone else running ads for you, then your cost per lead is the total cost of your advertising spend and any fees you may be paying to your advertiser divided by the number of leads you're getting, right? So if you're spending $5,000 a month and you're getting 100 leads, right, then you're paying $50 per lead. That's your cost per lead, okay? Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. And it's not always that the cheapest leads are better or that the most expensive leads are better. It matters some of these other ratios, which is why that number on its own is not what you should use to make your decisions on Lead Vendor. All right, the number 2 metric, response rate. Response rate is where everything starts. If you've been on a call with Lead Champ talking about how can you do better with your business or what lead vendor should you go with, you've probably heard me reference response rate, response rate, response rate, response rate. Because we can look and see, okay, is this agent over here that's running this lead vendor, are they selling or not? And that doesn't tell us if the lead vendor is good or not, right? Because the agent may not be calling those leads. They might not be following up. They might not know underwriting or be good at as an agent at all, right? They might not have the skills. So you don't always want to look at just your closing percentage, but your response rate, meaning out of 100, okay? So if you message or call 100 leads, how many of them are going to actually respond back, either answer the phone or text you back? And ideally, you look at positive response rate, okay? Because if you get, let's say, 5 stop responses from your text, like those aren't positive responses. Those are actually negative responses. Those are opt-outs. Those are people that are no longer saying they're interested. So you really want to look at positive response rate. And the reason why, like, we are so meticulous here at LeadChamp about telling you guys, book your appointments inside of LeadChamp, right? Use the what happened button, is because some of these metrics you won't have tracked properly if you don't always hit the button. Okay, so response rate is going to be one of your first indicators. Now, just to give you guys a general idea, with brand new live drip leads, anywhere from like 10 to 30% positive response rate is possible. Okay, obviously though, if you have leads getting you 10%, 10% are responding versus 20 or 25, you really want to consider which one of those vendors you want to stick with. But once again, just like with cost per lead, this doesn't tell the whole story either. The next metric is booking rate. Okay, booking rate is of those people that respond. Okay, or you can look at this as a total number as well. Of all of the leads that you bring in, what percentage of them do you book for an appointment? If you're running LeadChamp, for most people with new real-time leads, we see about a 3% difference between the positive response rate and the booking rate. So if you have 30% respond positively, about 27% are going to book with you. Usually, if they go, yes, that's what I'm looking for, the only reason you wouldn't be able to book is if there wasn't time on your calendar available for the AI to give them, right? Or maybe they weren't able, maybe sometimes we offer them times and they just don't respond again. They get distracted by life, whatever it may be. So there's a small percentage of fall off, but usually your booking percentage is going to be close to your response rate if you're using new leads in LeadChamp. It's within 3% for most people is what we see. Now, you should track yours and see, because if yours is way off from that, that might indicate you're doing something different from most people. And then finally, your show rate. Okay, what percentage of those appointments that you book actually show up and meet with you? And this matters quite a bit, right? Because let's say half of all of the people that you message say, yes, that's what I'm looking for. I'd love to meet on Thursday, 5 o'clock. They book with you and 0% show up. It's like, well, you're selling no insurance. You're making no progress, right? Like, so if you have 0% response rate, you're not doing anything. If you have 0% show rate, you're not doing anything, right? So each of these on their own can make or break you. But here's the real key, okay? Taking that CPL and turning it into some more advanced metrics, okay? So you've got your cost per lead, but what about your cost for an appointment? Okay, so this is a way for you to compare leads of different costs. So like, let's say you're paying $50 a head for brand new IUL leads versus $10 a head, right? For, brand new trucker leads or whatever it may be. And the show rate is so much higher, right, with the IUL leads, and the closing rate is so much higher with the IUL leads that it makes way more sense for you to spend that higher dollar amount. But the flip side could also be true, right? Your show rate, right, or your booking rate with the IUL leads might be so low that you make a way better return with the $10 leads. So the cost per lead isn't what matters. It's what's your cost per appointment, or even your cost to acquire a customer. Now, in like real businesses, okay, not to hate on like solo entrepreneurs, because I've been a solo entrepreneur most of my career, but in like these big businesses out there, they look at your cost to acquire a customer as one of the most important numbers in your business. And they would include some other parts. Like, let's say if you pay a dialer, like Josh, I know you pay a staff member to dial for you. If you wanted to get your company's cost to acquire a customer, you would need to include what you spend on your staff, include what you spend on your leads, marketing, all of those pieces, and divide it into it. In this case, though, just for comparing lead vendors, you can just take your other expenses out of it and just compare the cost for the lead with your show rate and your response rate and your booking rate and your closing rate to figure out which lead is performing better. Now, once again, though, if you don't have these numbers accurately tracked, you can't actually make a logical decision on this. And I promise this probably applies to you if you're on the call, if you're listening live, if you're an agent. Don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me. But I talk to people every single day that are in your position. Everyone tells me, oh yeah, XYZ lead vendor, it stopped working well for me, so I switched. But 100% of the time, if I ask them to tell me what were the metrics that they noticed changing that made them feel like they should make that change, they can never tell me them. They don't actually have them tracked. So even though they feel like they're making it as a logical, like data-driven decision, they're actually making a completely emotional-based, feelings-only based decision where they feel like those leads aren't working well. They feel like it's not going well. And so they've decided they feel like doing something different. And so that's my warning to everyone on here is if you feel like something's working, what you should do is verify it with the numbers. And if it is, then you can double down on it, right? If you feel like a lead vendor is performing well, get those numbers and compare it side to side to your other lead vendors and figure out which one is actually making you more money. And then, the last one on here is number 5 is closing percentage. Okay. Your closing percentage, most people know what their closing percentage is. This is the one number they do know. Like, okay, of all the people I meet, this many I close. And if you're closing like 60, 70%, you're probably telling people, hey, let's just get you approved. Okay, that's the truth, right? The top producers sell like 40, 50% because a certain number of people can't qualify, a certain number of people can't afford it, right? And the ones that can, you help them. But here's an important thing to remember. Your closing ratio is a combination of your skills, but it's also a matter of like, how did that person view you before they showed up to the appointment? Did they already view you as credible and someone that they trusted? Did they already see your license and your verified underwriter website and go, okay, wow, this is someone that I can trust to help me? Well, your closing ratio is going to be higher. If they saw a clickbait ad, like let's say they saw get rich like the Rockefellers ad that made them feel like, oh, by getting life insurance, I can somehow become wealthy, even though I have no money, right? Well, when that person actually shows up to the call and they find out, oh, no, this is something I'm going to need to spend money on, right? All of a sudden, your closing ratio is not going to be as high. It's not just about how skilled you are, but it's about how qualified of an appointment you have, right? And where did that lead come from? And how did they actually end up on your calendar in the first place, right? Like most people in here know that if they book their own appointments over the phone, they have a higher show percentage than if their staff does it. Obviously, right? Because you're the skilled person, you're the agent. Well, if you spoke to them initially and you set the appointment and they liked you, there's a good chance your closing ratio is going to be higher right off the bat anyway, because you've already set that precedent. So understand that just knowing your closing percentage isn't an indicator of how good you are as an agent. It might be an indicator of how good the leads you're getting are, right? How well you're setting up your appointments, how well you're pre-suading people with like we do with LeadChamp by having a system to show off your credibility, all those things in advance. But if you know all these numbers and you track all these numbers, now with just these 5, you can go and compare one-to-one every type of lead vendor. You can figure out someone running a campaign versus buy per lead, higher cost leads versus aged leads, right? You can figure out exactly which one is actually making you more money so that you can put your time where it actually matters, right? And find your slice of cheese, let's say, for like McDonald's did. All right, now I want to pass it over to Josh to talk about some of the more advanced metrics, things that are very specific for life agents, right, or insurance agents in particular. That like the ones we just covered, by the way, are applicable to all sales everywhere, all the time. Like all sales everywhere have to track these numbers. But these next few are very important, specific to agents. And I know one in particular, number 7, may be the most impactful one, right? It may completely change your perspective on how you approach this business. So Josh, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Nick. Appreciate it. So, all the things he said, I'll share a little bit about, my numbers and here at LeadChamp, just in insurance in general. Like I can see the faces of the people. Everybody's doing something a little bit different. Some people are doing inbound calls. Some people are running appointments. Some people are doing one call closes. Some people are doing age leads. Some people are doing IUL, FEX. It's all different, right? Especially when you compare, I don't know, getting a FEX lead for $5 to $10 to whatever an inbound call is. Like it can give you like, oh wow, that's really expensive. But when you put it all together and it's like, okay, well, you're not, inbound leads, for example, you're not buying a lead, you're buying an appointment, right? So you have to kind of do what Nick's saying and kind of see the whole picture of it. But when it comes to response rate, I mean, we get to see a lot of accounts doing support, what's going on, lead vendors, and again, I mean, this is based on 500,000 text messages a month and 6,000 appointments. I see a lot, people make comments of, these leads are working, these leads are not working. No one's answering the phone. Someone recently was complaining that their leads, weren't doing well for them. And I went and looked, and 25% were answering back that, a positive response through text. And then you figure at least another 10% if you're calling them properly. So it's like 35% of them. That's pretty solid, right? It's not 50%, but it's above average. It's above average. Now, on the flip side of that, there's some lead vendors out there that I consistently over the last year, they've been at sub 10%. And I would say, definitely stay away from those. And on this call, we're not going to promote or shout down any lead vendors. It is what it is. Yeah, Derek, list them. Yeah. Hit us up in our private channels. We'll let you know. Um, and then booking rate and then show rate. So I can tell you, and we'll as time moves on, we're happy to show you how you can get this, but we'll have it more available. I can tell you from my experience, for anybody that has an appointment setter, I would you always want to train them, talk to them, but also be kind to them. And here's what I mean. So for the leads that I'm running right now, when my appointment setter books an appointment, 30% show rate, which is good. Like you can make good money at 30%. When AI books it, it's 40%. It's not that like AI is special and it has special words. It's just if you're texting back and forth, like you don't have to respond. And then when myself books it, it's 60%. Now that's not all the time across the board. That's just what it is right now. And so what that tells you is if you do have an appointment setter who is not you, they're probably not going to book as much as you or have a higher show rate, right? So like huge value in you getting on the phone and doing the work, right? But that's my numbers. If your numbers are like way skewed off of that, it's either something that you're doing or it could be and probably is something going on with leads. Maybe they're not qualifying, maybe they're seeing weird ads. Maybe it's just an autofill form and you're playing the volume game. All kinds of things going on there. So knowing the whole picture, that is the point. And anyway, so as we kind of move along, the next here, number 6 is average premium per policy. And this can get a little tricky. All right. Now, this is going to be dependent on skill. It's going to be dependent on lead type. And this one gets people excited and it can get you in trouble. Here's what I mean. My first year, my average policy was about $800 AP, right? Most of the leads I was working was final expense. Once I moved to mortgage protection, it was probably 1,500 to 1,800. Once I moved to IUL, it was 3 to 5,000. And then I know some people doing annuity leads that, it's maybe 5 to 10,000. And you say, well, I only want to, run the big ticket items. And you can get yourself in a little bit of a mess. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But the bottom line is, as time moves on, if you just stay on final expense or if you just, whatever it is, your average premium should go up because your skills are going up. If it's going down, if it's going backwards, like that's a problem. Or if it hasn't changed, maybe that means that you're not progressing. Maybe you're not looking for multiple policies in a household, or maybe you're not the way that you show options and close. Like there's the 3 option close, there's the top down close. I know, Jamie Cheerio always talks about it, right? His average premium policy right now is about $3,000. And, when we first started, it was 800. Again, part of it's leads, but a part of it is just your confidence in just showing bigger numbers, knowing that, some people are going to buy that, right? And so pay attention to that. Look at your last few sales, last month. We just ended March, right? If you made 20 sales or whatever it was, like what's the average? Maybe you had a big one or whatever, but what's the average? And see what you can do. Because a lot of times what we do is like we get on the phone, we go through our process. Do you want the A, B, or C option, the bronze, silver, or gold? Pick one, move on. And that's fine, right? But if you could boost it by 10 or 20% over the course of a year, that's thousands and thousands of dollars just for paying attention to something. All right. So average premium per policy. Number 7. All right. This one is, when I say it, you're going to be like, well, of course. But I see so many examples of really not paying attention to this. And I had a situation, a time about 18 months ago where I wasn't doing super well, cash flow wise, and I got into a bit of a pinch, but I was able to figure it out. And I'm going to share with you kind of how it went for me. And this what we call it, cash flow velocity, right? So there's overall cash flow, like how much you make, right? Hey, I deposited X this month or X this year. But there's also like how fast is that money coming back to you and finding a good balance, right? For example, I'm going to pick on all my friends that do mainly IUL and annuities, right? Um, it feels, it's a different kind of conversation. A lot of times you're talking to people about like preparing for retirement, or it's more of a financial and savings type of conversation more than I'm trying to sell you insurance. And it's a fun conversation to have. And certainly the premiums can be bigger, and sometimes the submit board looks really, really nice. It's like so and so wrote 8 policies for 80 grand or whatever the case may be, and they're like, oh man, they're killing it. But those typically take longer time to underwrite. There's maybe multiple meetings that goes into them. And I've had several situations. It was last summer. I had about 300,000 in underwriting over about a 6 week period. So it's really, really cool. It's like, oh my gosh, I wrote 300 grand in, 4 to 6 weeks, but it was multiple meetings. It was, is this stuff going to issue? And then when it issues, like, are they going to have the money there? They said they are. And sometimes that didn't work out. And if you're waiting on that big hit and it doesn't come, then that's a problem. On the other side, sometimes it feels like, if you're just doing final expense, it's like, oh, I got my 800, and you're turning and burning, and it's like, man, this is a grind. And I'm with you. It is. And so for the people that are only chasing can't talk whales, not wells, whales, I would encourage you to don't not hit base hits to wait for your ship to come in, because you can go broke in the meantime. So what happened to me is I was writing a bunch of business. It was when like my first 9 months, I was really focused on IULs, and I'm writing all this business. Everyone's patting me on the back because the submit leaderboard looks good. Even the issue leaderboard, that's a whole nother topic. You can issue them, but it doesn't actually pay out. If you've experienced that, that's kind of rough. And I'm like, where is the money? Where is the money? And there's so much that goes into that. So let's say you go write a $10,000 target premium policy. Okay, well, awesome. It issues, and the board says you issued $10,000, but you have to, think about what's your advance cap with a carrier. How long does it take to issue? How long does it take? Some carriers, they draft the money today and you don't get paid for a week and a half, right? So you could go out and in 3 months issue $100,000 on a few policies, or you could write 10 policies a month at 3 grand a piece over the same period and make a lot of little deposits. And I only say that to say, if I go write a policy and I get paid within a week or less, then I can reinvest that money and I can keep on doing that faster. So I went through this time where my deposits, weren't coming in, and I'm like, where's all the money? What's going on? And I literally went through every carrier back office, all my policies, where everything was going. And I noticed I was writing a little bit more than what I was used to. And I was even issuing more than what I was used to. So I'm like, what is happening? And all it was is all my business had switched from simplified issue carriers to accelerated underwriting carriers. And I had no simplified issue business. So what that meant was it was just all in waiting. Now I was going to be there eventually, but I couldn't keep on spending the money to, for the dialers and for all the things to wait on this, right? So I got to a cash flow situation. And so again, it's cool when you hit a home run, but make sure you're getting on base consistently every day, every week while you're waiting for the grand slam. All right? So that's my piece on that. All right, next, number 8, ROAS, return on ad spend. Again, all the time I hear people, say in some form or fashion, should I spend more money on leads, especially new people? Hey, is it time to spend more money on leads? And a few like generic things that I would say, my opinions on it is, number one, if you haven't yet issued 10,000 in a month, like you haven't learned how to sell insurance, right? You just haven't proven it to the marketplace, yourself, and everybody how to sell insurance. There's probably no one here, all right? Most people here have already done that. The second thing is, if we went around and I asked everybody here, hey, what's your closing rate? How are you doing on your leads? You tell me good, bad, and you might start saying things because you're you're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, and you want to take responsibility over things, and that's a great quality. And you might start saying things like, "I need to work on my closing, and this my script and whatever else." And she's not here, so we'll pick on her, Nick. Our friend Kasha, who is an agent. One time, she came to me and she's like, "Josh, I need to work on my closing, script." And she had been an agent for like a year and a half. She knew how to do this. She sold. She was great. I was like, went and looked at her calendar. I was like, you just don't have enough appointments on your calendar. Stop it. Like, you know what to say. You know how to do this. But my point in that is look at how much you're selling versus how much you're spending. So if you're spending $1,000 and you're selling 4 to 5x of that, so 4 to 5,000, then yeah, you should probably just spend more on leads. Now, the caveat to that is if you're not issuing very much of it, then you're probably pretty bad at underwriting and you need some help there, right? Um, Underwriting is not your lead vendor's fault. Now, because there's no way to, vet people. It's like, hey, have you had a heart attack? And Lord knows how much people don't tell the truth. I don't say people lie, but they certainly don't tell the truth all the time. But
People
if you're, yeah, 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 for sure. Buyers are liars. That's right. But yeah, if you're 4 to 5x, then just spend more money. Okay. Now, if you go out and you spend $1,000, you write $5,000, you made $4,000 net. Awesome. Okay. And sometimes people can get so hung up on the percentage, right? I'm 5xing and I don't want to go down. And so they keep it right there. Well, what's going to happen if you go spend $5,000 in a month and you 4x it instead of five, right? So you made $20,000 minus the four, your net, like you netted overall more money. Now, if you are 3x or less, okay, now you're getting some dicey water. And if you if you just increase how much you're spending, you can't process all those leads effectively, right? Your ratios are going to get smaller. And now you're getting in the territory where after chargebacks, after advanced caps, after bad things happen, and they will happen, right? You're breaking even or losing money. And that's not fun because it feels like you're on a treadmill, right? So 4 to 5x. Now, some people are doing way more than that, right? Last month we did way more than that. So all's great. Now, yeah, anything can change. And I would also say, I'll tell a story without naming names. We had an agent on the team one time who had a 6-figure month. And Derek, maybe you can. Derek just issued 136. So you have these.
143.
Oh,
Sheesh. Okay.
Sorry, had to.
143. So now I think it's fair to say, Derek, you're not having as good of a month this month that you did last month. And sometimes it feels like you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Because part of that is if you go, let's say Derek, he said on a call when he was on with us a week or two ago, he's not that big of a producer. He only averages 60 to 70 a month. That's what he said. Okay. Poor Derek. So if you go and you're doing 60 to 70 a month and then you more than double it, and let's just say his chargeback percentage is 25%. Well, 25% of 140, right? What's that? 14, 20. That's like $30,000. And then the next month he does his normal 60. He's going to be like, dang, like I feel like I'm making no money comparatively. Everything's the same, but it just feels that way. And so ROAS, if you're just looking at the hard numbers, like you can have a great month and the next month have an average month, like average, like this is my normal and feel like you're doing worse. Yeah, he woke up to $10,000 in chargebacks, which is not that big of a deal comparatively, but like no one wants to see their account 5-figure or their back office 5 figures negative, right? So it's all in perspective, but if you're looking at the hard numbers, then you can make thoughtful, rational decisions when it doesn't feel very rational. Okay. Number 9.
Hey, Josh, real quick, before you go on from that one, just something I thought of, and I'm pretty sure you know the answer to this, but I am putting you on the spot. Because we always talk about at the beginning when people are scaling up when to add more lead spend, but you could use this same figure to figure out your top end as well, right? Like if you're already spending 10K a month on leads, should you keep adding more? Well, the more you add, you'll start to see this ratio go down a little bit, right? Like because you're not able to
100%.
meet with everyone. Like, is that how you would determine like how to cap it out? If someone's like, I'm trying to max out my sales, like should I go to 12,
Oh,
15?
well, yeah, the rest of that story, I'm sorry. The rest of that story was we had an agent who had had a six-figure month, spent 10 to 12 on leads for the month, and thought just that. Well, hey, if I spent 10 to 12 on leads,
Oh no.
what if I spent 50,000 in a month on leads? What could I really do? Well, what you can really do is go broke really fast because
They didn't do that, right?
they
That's
did do that. They did do that.
oh.
Yeah, yeah, Quentin. Yeah, 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 yeah. So what happened was they had their normal chargeback, just like we talked about Derek, and then they're like they're still feeling like they're making money because some of those deposits are trickling in over
Yeah.
time, and they actually lost 18,000 for the negative the next month while spending 50,000. And at some point, like you can't you're just not going to hit all those leads, right? Like your all your percentages are going to go down. You can't call that many times. Like, this person didn't have an appointment setter, even with appointment set. Like you're just not going to be effective at that scale. You're just not. And so you also don't want to make big leaps and bounds. Scale up slowly, and then yeah.
I
So
wasn't
that
imagining. I really wasn't imagining that much. I was thinking like, okay, I know a bunch of people spending 10K a month, and I'm wondering, okay, should they go up to 12? Should they go to 14? Like, where is that? And this would be a way to see that, right? Is if they start to go down on their efficiency and effectiveness because they're spending too much, then that's when they're probably right at that.
yeah. I mean, it's just it, all this stuff now is like how to be a good like I think most everybody here, at least the people I can see on the screen at the moment, they're good salespeople. Good salespeople. They know what to do. They know how to get the yeses. They know how to close. But like being a good business person is a whole different thing. And that's knowing when to say no, which Lord knows I have a hard time doing, and we tend to want to solve our problems with just more sales and not to face the issue. And so it's like we double down and sometimes spend too frivolously. I know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I hope you don't mind, Derek. He asked a question. We're kind of just in a little powwow, and he's like, "Hey, I got all this extra money." So hit up Derek. He's got extra money, and he's like, "Should I just double down and put it all in leads?" And I was like, "Hey, man, take half that, pull some chips off the table. Don't forget why we're doing this. You know what I mean? Yeah, scale up with some, keep some back, right? Like, um, so anyway, that's part of it. But then also sometimes I've been at a level of spend where I'm spending a lot on leads and it's like not working, not working. In my mind, I'm like, I can make it work. This next 30 days, I'm going to go hard. But at some point you got to go, okay, let me pull back and maybe reset and reevaluate. And that's okay too. One of my most profitable months in business, period, was 2 years ago when I went to Europe for 10 days. I shut off all my ad spend, spent $0. All that stuff from underwriting hit all at one time. And I netted some ridiculous like 60,000 for the month net, and that was nice. And then I got to come back and reset. So sometimes you have to do that. All right. Number nine is the next couple. We're going to talk about stuff that most of us really don't pay attention to unless we get a call or a letter from a carrier. Um, and number nine is premium applied ratio. Some carriers care about this, some carriers don't care about this, but you should pay attention to that. And that is, I submitted a piece of business, it got approved. Did they get the money? Right? Did the draft come and did they get the money? For example, Americo cares about this. All right. And they have a little graph in their back office. And so one thing across the board that we've noticed is trucker leads. A lot of people they're getting very popular. A lot of people are jumping on trucker leads. They're great leads. You can sell them. We've enjoyed, like me and Jamie are running those right now. Also, a lot of us have noticed that the premium applied ratio is not great, or it's certainly a lot less than other things that we've sold before. And what is that going to lead to? That's going to lead to more chargebacks. All right. And why is that? I don't know. I think it has something to do with like when you talk to a trucker and you're like, hey, can you grab your bank account? They're like, oh, yeah, right here. I got it on this pile of papers. I call these keepers. Yeah. that's it's just they're a mess, right? God love them. We need them. But that's something that you need to pay attention to because you might feel in the moment, hey, man, I'm closing left and right. This feels good. I'm getting my dopamine hits. They're issuing right away, but in 3, 6 months, all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, you got some more chargebacks, you got some more red lines in your, in your back offices, and you want to pay attention to that. All right, premium applied ratio. And lastly is your 6 and 12 month retention. Okay. This is one of those things where this is like eating your vegetables. Nobody wants to talk about it. No one wants to pay attention to it. And Nick, how many times does someone get on a call with you and they claim they have great retention?
Basically all the time. And but the truth is they don't know their number, or they'll reference their 6 month. Like all people come up like, oh, my retention's fine. I have like 75% 6 month. And I'm like, dude, like that's basically that means that your 12 month is going to be in penalty range with some of the carriers. You're not even like just doing bad. Like they're going to be coming after you. Like you're not doing good. So yeah, a lot of people think they're doing good on this. Just like guys, if you're wondering, like, is this me? Remember all your clients that say, yeah, I'm super healthy. Everyone who's heard someone say like I'm super healthy, that's what agents sound like when they're like my retention's good. My clients love me. Okay, sure, I believe you. Okay, if you have lead champ, maybe.
Yeah. So, having good retention, there was a commercial. I can't remember what it was, like a car insurance commercial. And this person, they're like, "What are you selling?" And he takes them to like the back of a car and they open up a trunk. And it's a trunk and there's like this glow. And they're like, "Oh, that looks so amazing." And then it turns around and it was like skies and rainbows. And he was like, "We sell peace of mind." And a good retention, that's what it is. It's peace of mind when, because you're not waking up and seeing like the negatives. And it's like, I wrote 5 policies and I got to replace 2 or 3. And I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel and I take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That is what good retention feels like. I can go on a vacation for a week and I don't have a mess to clean up when I get back. Right. Profitability, back end money, just, if you want to, live long and prosper in this business, good retention is a great way to do that. And so a couple of things that I would say to pay attention to, right? If you pay attention to those numbers and it's not good, okay, so we have a premium applied, 3 month, 6 month, and 12 month. Okay. If you have a bad premium applied ratio or it's going down, you got to look at 2 things. You got to look at, what's going on with your leads and demographics. You got to be honest about it. And then you got to look at, what am I doing on the phone? Am I pushing too hard? Am I saying, let's just get you approved? Am I not clear enough in some way that this person might think that I'm not purchasing and buying life insurance today? Right. And I've seen the conversations, I've heard them, I've seen the messages in Lead Champ with people, and they go, "Hey, I didn't know that was coming out today," or "I thought we were just getting approved. I thought we were just putting in an application." Like, now, sometimes people just aren't paying attention, and that's also your fault. Just like everything is my fault, right? You have to take responsibility for it. And I'll tell a story, because when I was in the home one time, I ended up losing a sale. I did everything right. I followed all of the steps, and the guy wouldn't give me his bank account at the end. And I was like, "What happened? Where did I miss the mark that this guy wouldn't give me his bank account after he's like, I definitely need this," and just all the signals were yes. And what I didn't realize is when I sat down, we were sitting not across from each other, we were sitting next to each other, and I left the TV on. So he wasn't paying attention. And sometimes you're on the phone with somebody and you can't see them and they're agreeing with everything you're saying, but they're not actually paying attention. And so you have to really do an inventory and go, okay, do they know they're buying insurance? And if, that's going to be your premium applied ratio, that's where it starts. If it's a 3 month issue, then you're probably not hitting the missed payment button. You're probably not following up with, people that have insufficient funds. You probably have no system in place, or you have Lead Champ and you're just not using it. And so I would venture to say close to half of everybody that missed their payment, I get an Americo, a Moon Notice, a whatever the carrier is. We hit them up, and like half the time it's like, "Oh, I just forgot," or whatever the case is, and we can fix it. If it's a 6 to 12 month, then you're definitely not using Lead Champ. You're not talking to your customers. You're on the spray and pray plan, which many people are. Is and they tell themselves, I care about my clients so much that in this 1 hour, that I talked to them over the phone. They went from a stranger to they know I care, they love me, and they're going to keep it for life. That is not the truth. What's going to happen is they're never going to talk to you. Other people are talking to them the whole time. They're hitting them up, they're trying to get them to switch. And then when they have a problem, instead of them asking you about it or texting you about it, they're just going to cancel and ghost, you know. But if you're using Lead Champ, in addition to all the other things, they're going to get the postcards and the messages and all the things. And so I ran a list, and again, I want to call these people out because they're good people. They sell a ton inside of Lead Champ, but well, they set a lot of appointments, they send a lot of messages, but they don't hit the what happened button, and it drives me crazy. But I just had somebody, one of our users, Nick, hit me up the other last week and said he just sold a $4,000 IUL, and we have tons of stories like this. And the reason he did is because he sold the wife a policy, an IUL, put him in the what happened button. She got the postcards, the text messages, the birthday messages. Months goes by, the husband hits him up and goes, "Yeah, my insurance agent never sends me anything. Can I be your client?" And bought a $4,000 IUL. All right. And so what we found is if you talk to your clients when they have problems and issues, they'll actually bring them up to you so you can fix them versus just ghosting and canceling. All right. So it all works in conjunction with each other. Anything that you would comment on that, Nick?
Yeah, just I really do think that your retention, like Josh said, it starts with not overselling people. It starts with not being too pushy with people, but really it comes down to just following up a little bit. And the concept speed to lead, like you guys hear speed to lead, speed to lead, speed to lead. Well, I think speed to miss payment is also just as relevant. Like as soon as you get that notice, if you go put them in that pipeline, that gives them the most time to respond and resolve it. And they, especially if it's like month 1 or month 2, like they didn't just change their mind, guys. They want it still. They do. They just forgot to put money in their account. They forgot they have a new bill. People are used to having the exact same, like they made a change in their life. People don't easily make adjustments, right? But it's a small thing on your end to hit that what happened button right when you make the sale. But it's the same amount of time. Like I remember one of my mentors used to tell me about this concept. He called it like the law of diminishing returns. Okay. Basically, the longer you wait to do an action, the less of a result it's going to give you, compounding negative results versus the sooner you start. And like the example he gave me was like, hey, if you decide to live a healthy lifestyle, work out and eat healthy when you're 20 versus when you're 50, which person's going to have a better life? It's like, dude, the 20-year-old, obviously. It's like, well, the longer, it's still a good decision when you're 50, but it has less time to compound in positive results. And that is true for every single thing, especially in sales. The sooner you do the task, the faster it can compound for you. Hitting the what happened button takes the same amount of time, whether you do it tomorrow or today. But if you do it today, it's worth way more for you. If you do it while you're on the phone with the client, there's 2 reasons it's worth way more for you. Number 1, America will never, ever, ever tell you their information ever again. When you hit submit, you lose it. So you need to submit it with us first, okay? And I like America, okay? I like America, but I'm just saying you need to have that client info. And then the other reason is if you send it right then, the person feels put at ease. Like that's when they're the most concerned about getting scammed, is right when they gave you their bank info and they have nothing. But if they get that text, it's like, hey, here's everything we covered today. That helps cement it. Like all of these ratios and metrics that we covered today, they can only help you if you track them. But all of them also have like smaller metrics that break up into them, right? Like your annual retention is going to be a combination of all of these different other components, right? What percentage of people do you hit the what happened button on? For your like 2-year, 3-year retention, I know some people probably don't care about that as much, but how many people do you actually get an annual review with? If you have 100 clients, do you do 70 annual reviews? That's 70%, right? That's a ratio. There's a ratio in every single area of your business. And the more you track it, the more you use a system like LeadChamp so that it's tracking it for you. Some of you guys are like, well, how do I find out these numbers? Well, if you've been using LeadChamp properly, if you've been hitting the what happened button every time, even when it's like a showed and lost, which isn't fun to hit, right? Like that means they showed up, but you didn't sell them something. Maybe they couldn't qualify. Maybe they just said no. If you hit that, then your show rate will be right? Your closing rate will be right? So you can go and actually figure out these numbers for yourself. So LeadChamp won't like spit them all out for you automatically. It's not going to be like, hey, here's all your numbers. You have to go look at them. But if you use it properly, you'll have all these numbers so you can actually make better decisions for your business and not just be one of these agencies going like, well, I feel like dude, you mentioned Kasha's story. the part you left out is we went and looked up her closing ratio. Her closing ratio was like 70% of the time or something ridiculous. Like everyone she met with was buying. And she just felt like she wasn't closing that many because she wasn't closing that many total appointments, So it's just, yeah, I really do think there's a lot of agents that could double their business even if they just weren't in denial about some of these things. Like, which is, I know that sounds intense, but like it really is. Like some people really think that they are doing a good job in some categories or they're not doing a good job in others, and they're just not looking at the real numbers. So I hope that you guys take this, especially from someone like Josh, who's had such success in the industry himself, you know what I mean, and has survived this long. Because I know that's a stat but most people don't pay attention to. Like you see a lot of people come in and sell a lot for like 6 months or 8 months, and then you don't see them around year 5, year 6, year 7. Right. So the longevity of Josh should prove to you guys paying attention to these numbers matters.
He just called me old.
Is in the most creative way that I could. Okay. Other people are just calling you old, but I'm trying to make sure that people know you're old.
Appreciate that, Nick. Appreciate that. Okay, real quick. Anything else? I have a couple things I want to add before we end the call. But anything else, Nick? I don't want to derail the train. The train is moving down the tracks.
Did want to mention we will continue to bring back polls on future weeks. I didn't have a poll prepared for this week, so we didn't have any specific stuff we wanted to get from you guys. But thank you so much for everyone who's been responding to those. If you have feedback for us, suggested things that you'd like to see, you know what I mean? We do want to hear from you. It doesn't mean we're going to necessarily do all of them, but please send us all of that info. Sometimes we find our best ideas from agents just going, hey, what about this?
Okay. On that note, I will ask, right? Hands on keyboard. I'm going to ask everybody for something, and then I'm going to tell you something. So one thing we just updated this last week, I mentioned it last call, was we now, when you go and hit the what happened button, we have Social Security billing as an option. And we've really revamped our whole billing system. So now you have to choose it when you hit the what happened button. There's a payment date, which is the first payment. We didn't call it effective date because we don't want to confuse people. Sometimes the effective date is different than the first payment date, but for all intents and purposes, payment date equals effective date. That's just that we have it set up in the system that way. So you're going to put in the payment date. Now, what's going to happen from the system is no client stuff is going to go out until the payment date. So you can just set it and forget it, post dates, it all works fine. But then there's also right below that, there's a monthly draft. And this is where you can put in second, third, fourth Wednesday of the month, 1st, 15th, whatever. Okay. And it's pretty cool. So when the email reminder goes out, it's going to tell them, hey, your payment is the second Wednesday of the month or whatever day it is. But then it's also going to tell them their actual payment date. Hey, your next draft date is on the 13th or the 15th, and it auto calculates. It's really cool. It took me it took me way more than I thought it was to actually make that happen, but it's working. So what you want to pay attention to is we'll send out some communication. We'll talk about it on next calls, but pay attention to the not the billboard, the dashboard with the banner. We're going to put up a video of what you need to do. So once we put it up, you're going to want to take your clients, and I'm going to shoot a video showing you how to do this. You're going to take your clients and put them into a certain workflow to make sure they're getting all of the updated payment reminders. Right. So we'll put up a video on how to do that. It'll be on the dashboard for a while. We'll put it in our knowledge base. We'll let everybody know. I'm giving you a heads up. When you see that, you're going to have to go take action on that to make sure all of your clients are getting the correct thing, because it is kind of a new system, and we don't have a master way to just take all your clients for every sub account, put them in. So you'll have to do some stuff, but it works way better, and we're excited about that because that's just one of those. It's not a big thing, but it's one of those 1% things where if it keeps 5 clients, 10 clients, 20 clients this year on the books, that means $5, $10, $20,000 for you. So keep an eye out for that. Now, hands on keyboard. One thing I would ask from you, we're using this for data to make better words go out on your behalf, is think about via text message. Okay. Not so much what crazy things people say on the phone. Via text message, when you're looking through your account and people are texting things, what are the most common objections that you get. And now I'm not talking about the like no money, no time, but like specifically, like what are the things that people you see people say like over and over again on your account, right? So like stop. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's we need to talk. Hopefully that's not what you're seeing most. I wasn't ready for that, Ike.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
yeah, message and support if that's actually I want to text only. That's good.
I've seen that.
Or yeah, this is a scam. Good one. Need my wife. Here's like one you're not thinking about. You're calling, and then people have like the auto, um, they send you to voicemail, and they have like the auto text go out, and it says, "Please text me." Right? Like that's not an objection, but it's a weird thing, right? Yeah, who's this? No, it's actually who
Who did?
dis,
Who
who
did?
dis. That's how, yeah, 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 exactly. That's a good one. That's a good one. Um, any others that you see? We want them all, right? We're gonna,
Josh is trying to make sure specifically, guys, that the AI is prepared to intercept some of these more interesting messages and know how to respond to them. So if you're seeing some that are coming up, let us know. This like it'd be super helpful. Can I call you later? Email me info. Nice. Yes. Thank you. And if you see more stuff like this where the AI doesn't know how to respond, like most all use cases, like especially with how the AI is working right now, it's doing a great job. But if you see one where someone says something interesting and it doesn't know how to respond, please send in a ticket and just let us know about that and send in the contact name so that we can help to improve the AI as much as possible. And we appreciate you guys doing that.
yeah, it could just be like, hey, I just thought this was a weird response, and that's cool. That's cool. We're the more data, everyone has a family emergency. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? All right, we're gonna leave this up. Keep putting them in. I'm good. Jamie, yeah, that one really grinds my gears when people like, I'm good. I'm gonna make the AI be like, stop bragging.
Bragging.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, that's great. Me too, but wanted to help you with this insurance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Not
glad
really
you're
related, actually.
exactly. Exactly. All right. We'll keep it up. I'm copying all these over. But everybody have a great week. We will be on office hours Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Of course, support's always going. Let us know if you need anything, and we'll be back next week. And then just keep an eye on the Discord, the dashboard, your email. Everything goes out. We're going to communicate to you every way we can to make sure you get all of the latest and best information. Everybody have a great day.